Right, welcome to the newest episode of Technically Together. We're back, and this is season 2.
Season 2, baby.
In this episode, we're going to be talking about, the tech that we look forward to. And technically, we've been in a year of LDR. So sit back, relax, come chat with us. Hi!
Hey, everybody. I'm JV.
And this is Isa.
And we're technically together.
Again. No, we're not together again. We're just still technically together.
Technically back again, I think, is the way we can...
Technically back at it again together.
Yeah. Don't call it a comeback. I know that it's the morning for you, but I guess, best we could just cheers real quick.
Ooh, where's my coffee?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Got a little bit of a blended whiskey sour over here for me.
So, wait.
Now, to be fair,
I'm not sure if my AC's on, so I just had to make sure to take it off. We're doing this whole thing a new way. So let us know how this goes for you. Yeah, we're doing it live. We're doing everything live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything is in the live recording, so hopefully our audio is all fine and whatnot. I know that some people like it when we get a little bit meta, so I will say we're using StreamYard, and we're trying to make sure that our audio into StreamYard is good enough so that we just use the StreamYard recordings. But I, being the type that I am, I'm still recording background audio. So I'm still trying to do it.
Yeah, and that whole intro thing was done live, which we had to figure out a little bit, but it's all good. We're doing new things in 2021. And speaking of new things, today's topic is, tech we look forward to, right?
Now, are we going to talk about the year or CES in particular?
I mean, both, right? CES is, and that's happening this week. Well, by the time that we post this, it will have happened.
So we have to be careful because we do have signed embargoes and all that stuff.
Yeah. But no, this is happening after. This is being posted after. We post this on Friday, Saturdays.
Oh, good point. Yeah. This is a look into like how we are if we were in Vegas right now trying to like go to all of our pre-briefings and our meetings and all of that stuff. We would have to remind one another of like, oh, okay, so if we're going to make this right now, then we just have to make sure we post it after this date and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, this. It's funny how we can still have the same conversations.
Yeah. And I was saying that CES is one of the big things where new stuff gets announced, and not just like the mainstream stuff, right? We get to see what the future looks like. For anyone who is unfamiliar about what CES is, it's basically one of the big tech shows. Most tech people are busy in the new year because we're all gearing towards covering this particular show. And as with any tech show, you don't get big announces. You also get tinier, smaller announces on just about every little thing you could think of. Like we have robots and folding panels and what else? Like VR porn. It's a thing.
It is a thing. I don't know if it's the first thing that anyone would think of with CES, because I know that for, when was the first CES I went to? That was probably 7 or 8 years ago. And as time went on with CES, it originally was like an end-all be-all of what's coming in the year, and that included mobile. At one point, that even included video games, and I remember going to CES for the first time, and I was like, it sucks that the video game side has moved on. Like, they don't go to CES anymore. But over the years, when I think of CES, I think of TVs, appliances, I think of laptops, because there are actually a lot of computing announcements there. And those are the ones I think of. We don't really think of smartphones anymore.
Yeah, but it's also CES is they have their very own sex and health wellness category, which only started happening last year, which is great.
That was the first.
Yeah, it was the first time they did that. It's great because there are a lot of women pioneering the space. They also have been getting a lot of smart home and beauty tech, which is something I'm super excited about. And Joshua and I were talking about this, was it last year? CES didn't used to be that way. CS didn't have a lot of beauty tech. So, I mean, if anything, it's very telling of the trends we're getting.
It's also funny because one of the one of the funnier sort of background things when it comes to CES is that because all of these companies are showing certain products, there are certain perks to being on the floor. And what you just said just reminded me of how, because there was a whole beauty tech area, you literally got a blowout done right in the middle of the show floor.
Yeah, that was last year, and we were checking out the new Tinko hair dryer. Uh, I mean, ladies, you guys know what a Dyson hair dryer is. To the guys listening, ask your lady friend what a Dyson hair dryer is, and they're gonna want it.
Hell, I would use it.
And then ask them how much it would cost. The cost of great technology. Dyson products are great; they just are very pricey. That's a thing.
Of course.
So Tenko came up with this really cool smart hair dryer. Literally, hold it up to your head, and it'll dry your hair and detect moisture levels on your hair to make sure that you don't burn your hair. So stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I don't really know how. Oh, and here's one thing we didn't even really say in this whole discussion of CES. It's the fact that 2021 CES is all virtual. And so we're
Yeah.
recording this on a Sunday. It's going to start tomorrow on the 11th through to the 14th. This is such a weird new way of looking at CES.
Mhm.
I actually talked about this a little bit on the last Pocket Now Weekly podcast. There are a couple of
Which will
aspects.
link down below or somewhere.
We got to be
We're
good.
linking stuff now. We're getting better at this. We're trying to like optimize everything.
We're trying to be good. We're trying to be good content creators. Yes.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, there are a couple of aspects to a virtualized tech show that I'm hoping kind of sticks around because I don't even know how it would. You remember just how hard it was going through all of the different show floors, even if it was a more insulated event like Showstoppers or PebCom.
It's so hard. So to
Yeah.
give you guys an idea of what covering a tech show is like, it's not fun. First of all, everyone's sick at the end of this 2 week period. Like I'm not even exaggerating. It's because for us, that 2 week period means before the show we're trying to get all the embargoes and NDAs in meetings so that we can pre-write stuff. And during the show, there's just way too much stuff to cover. So you're just running around. You barely get sleep. You're so tired because you're talking, shooting, editing all the time. And then by the end of it all, everyone just crashes. Like
Yeah.
everyone's just dead.
It
I
used to feel like a big accomplishment, but then over the years, once you get used to the hustle and bustle of
You're
something like
just
CES,
tired.
you're just exhausted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And for background, if like so I'd have a fitness tracker, this would be the most steps I'd get in a year in my life, like during tech shows. And it's not just walking, it's running around with your tripod, running around with like all the other stuff you need to be accomplishing. And aside from that, you're getting lost in casinos trying to figure out when or where the next thing is. It's back to back meetings, it's meeting so many people, it's just trying to keep your head out of the water.
yeah. And there are a couple of events that have happened in the lead up to CES that give us a glimpse of into what a virtualized version of it would be like. The point I was getting to was I, I I kind of like the fact that we don't have to actually go searching for these vendors because it's
Mm-hmm.
just a website with an alphabetical list of each exhibitor,
Mm-hmm.
and you can just click on it and then there you are. You're connected to
Yeah.
people from that company. And then the other residual benefit of that is no more business cards. All the
But I
contact
like
info is
business
right there.
cards. I
True.
actually have like every single business card I've ever been handed ever since I started working in tech. I have.
Same.
And
Mhm.
every time I need to look up a person, I just like go through the tiny thing.
Yeah, I would love to say
Yeah.
that I have been so good at like following up on all of the business cards, but I haven't. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know of many people who have.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure if in a post-COVID world the business card will
Yeah.
really survive. You
Yeah,
know?
that makes sense. I mean, they have okay, tech, something tech that I've seen that I've been wanting to try. I've not ever tried it. They have these little scanned, is it NFC chips?
Hmm.
and I see them on TikTok. Usually, what people do is they put like their TikTok info, and when you meet someone, the person can just scan it, and it opens up your TikTok. So like that could be a way, right, to move forward
I
with.
remember searching on Amazon for hours for a ring that had an NFC chip in it so that that could be the
Mhm.
way. And you would literally fist bump the back of someone's car, a phone,
Oh, there you
not
go.
card, but their phone. And you would be able to just sort of get your info into them. But the only problem with those particular products, and they show up every year at CES, is that not
I was
every
about to say that these are the things you'd find at CES.
yeah, not every phone, much less not every phone has NFC, and
Mhm.
more to the point, not every user even really understands it. So
Yeah, but
it
they don't need to be understanding it for it to work. All you need to do is be like turn on, or not even NFC though. They have QR codes which lead to
okay,
contacts.
that is the alternative, yeah.
Mhm.
And certain products give you the NFC chip along with a user generated QR code that you can refresh. So these are ways of getting around it, and I agree with that. I totally agree with that. I just find it funny that like I don't know. I don't know what business cards will really look like. If that is what it is, then I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really know what things in particular because you and I might have had separate meetings in certain ways or whatnot. But I guess if we're going to talk about CES and what we're excited to see, not just from CES 2021, but also for the year, if this show's coming out after all those dates go up, then I guess what things have you seen that you're really
Mhm.
into, that you're excited for?
I am particularly into checking out. Okay, background. Last year, I went and checked out a smart mirror. And it was awesome seeing how they could integrate it not just in your bathroom home, but also in the parlor of the future. How you could walk into a parlor and pick out hairstyles, and they do it for you. So I'm looking to see if there's anything like that. Uh wait, that's what I can think of right now. You go next. I blanked. I'm like, oh, that's what I want to see.
Well, okay, so one of the bigger developments that has happened in the lead up to CES is that I've started to talk to more people from other departments in companies, which is super
Mhm,
exciting for me because we are always talking to the mobile side.
mhm.
Now, when I talk to my friends on the mobile side, I have to remind them every now and then, like, you realize I don't want to just do smartphones, right? Like, I'm trying
Yeah.
to get into more categories. They finally started connecting me or trying to connect. I have to follow up, but they have started trying to connect me to the home entertainment side. So, with that in mind, I'm actually really excited to see the fact that TVs, every year, TVs get better and
Mhm.
better and better. And it wasn't until quarantine 2020 that me and my family, I should say, we actually were able to update our TV for the first time in like a decade. We've had
Mhm.
this Samsung TV for the longest time. I've never had an LED TV. I've had flat screens, but not LED TV, not huge. And thanks to Pocket Now, I was able to try out one from Vizio. Now
I
I'm
was gonna
actually,
say, mhm. I was gonna say that since you said different divisions, only two companies really come to mind. We got Samsung, we got LG. Which one is it?
yeah,
Hopefully
right
both,
now,
but
well,
you know what I
hopefully both.
mean.
Yeah, I am told that the home entertainment side, I will be able to connect with them for Samsung. But as of
Mhm,
right now, I'm actually talking to people from LG, which has got me
mhm,
so excited because LG displays have actually usually been my favorite.
mhm.
Samsung makes great displays, don't get me wrong, but LG,
Yeah,
there's just something about them that like the color and the contrast are just really pleasing.
yeah.
They are moving into what is called mini LED. So there's 30,000 little diodes in the TV, each independently working to create the highest contrast, or rather the best
Mhm.
contrast, the best color, and all of that. And
Yeah.
I just looked at their announcement of their mini LED TV. That thing's an 86-inch TV. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. Um,
So yeah, I'm looking forward
sorry.
to like more of the home entertainment stuff.
I'm snickering because let me tell you a quick story about the very first event I've ever covered in the tech space. Last minute, I was sent to a Samsung TV launch event in Singapore. And I'm there, right? It's my first time at an event. And I was the
You went to one
lifestyle
in
girl.
Singapore?
Yeah.
Whoa, I didn't know about
My
this.
first ever event.
Yeah, yeah.
There are a lot of like home entertainment events in Asia. I mean
Hmm.
Samsung. And
Yeah.
so it was my very first um Samsung innovation. Wait, no, that's LG. LG, it's LG InnoFest, but there's a Samsung equivalent.
Mm.
So I went to the Samsung equivalent. Um And so the big highlight was their TV. And I'm there and I'm just like, okay. And I'm part of this tech media group. After we get to the show floor, and I'm freaking out, mostly because of the fridge, because connecting it to what Joshua said, if Josh was looking to get more into home stuff, I've always been fascinated by not the home entertainment stuff, but in general, the smart home stuff. So moving forward, this 2021, I'd like to be covering more of those things, not TVs in particular, but like general everyday smart stuff, you know?
Hmm.
So I'm there, right? And I'm freaking out over the fridge when the TV was the big deal. And I shot the fridge when I was supposed to shoot the TV. And they bring us to a room for a technical briefing. And I'm there, right? And I'm in between these two people who I know to be people who do tech stuff in the country. And I'm just like, nodding along to whatever the frick the guy was telling me, explaining how their black is the blackest of black and it's not the same black as the black before. And I'm just like, yeah. Well, texting my teammates in Manila, going like, I do not freaking understand what is happening. Why are they going on and on about the blackness of this black? And I'm just like, keeping that interested, engaged front when I could not understand stuff. So um it's just a funny memory. I literally went there with a what was that Sony camera? What came before
Uh,
the A6400, right? I'm
yes.
there with the A6400 in front of this other dude who owns the other tech website in the country, and he's like, "Oh wow, nice! You're shooting with the Sony A6400." I literally am holding this camera. I look at him, and I'm like, "Sure." And he goes like, "Oh, what something about the camera?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm the lifestyle girl, man."
Yep. I
Literally.
remember I remember those early days. Your first year. I think I met you sometime into your first like real foray into that world.
You met me
Man,
a little after that. I was so clueless.
you you have come a long way
I
because you not
did
only
not know
didn't
how to
know a whole
shoot.
lot, yeah, you not only didn't know a whole lot about the mechanics of all of those things, you were actively against really knowing. Like just make it work was the kind of thing. Like
Yeah,
just make
I
it
mean,
work.
to a certain extent, that's still how I operate. I'm just a
Mm.
little more understanding. Actually, an epiphany I had the other day was that, I mean, I always say that everyone's a techie, right? Because we're redefining what a techie is in 2021. Everyone has tech, but it's also, I'm not a techie. I'm just like these people who aren't traditional techies and I'm trying to learn it.
Mm.
That's the thing though. That's the process for me. I can stand here and be like, listen to me, I know my shit. But really the value in my content is that I didn't and I learned it. So let's do this, you guys. If I can do it, if I can figure out the blackest of blacks and what the frick those panels mean, we can all do it together. It's my point. It's my point. It's like, come on, I walked into that event, they handed me a camera and I flew to Singapore and I'm just like, let's do this. I get there and I'm like, fridges can do that? And to this day though, that is something I think every time I go to these smart home events, right? You know this. I'm always at the fridge section. I'm always freaking out about whether it be, and I know these things, whether it be the new Samsung Family Hub or whether it be the new LG Insta door and door knock refrigerator. I'm still freaking out about how great this technology is, but
Yeah.
it just brings me back to a simpler time.
Well, the other category that I feel like we're always aware of at CES, but we don't really dive into. I think it's hard to because
Mhm.
there's so many of them, and they don't really have product until much later to provide, so we can actually experience them. Or the little odds and ends, those little the smaller gadgets and products
Yes.
that are really cool, and you get to see them firsthand on the floor of like a Showstoppers or
Mm-hmm.
Pepcom, or now Techfluence is another one.
Mm.
And you're like, oh yeah, this is literally a good idea. This is a cool
Yeah.
thing, but you have to keep following up with them via that business card in order to
Yeah.
finally get it. Like 3 months later.
Yeah. I want to talk about one thing that it wasn't CS and I have it. This is yours. And I want to talk about this because this is one of my biggest tech
Yeah,
finds ever.
this was one of the odds and ends from like
Yeah.
this one's like 3 years ago now, huh?
I found this brand. This is the Ori ring. I found them at Computex. When
Yep.
I found them, they showed me a prototype that didn't even have an actual ring on it. And then
Hmm.
eventually they got picked up by more outlets, and eventually like they even sent one to Joshua. Well, they're my friends. Joshua knows this because like I know because I was freaking out the first time I ever met them. I've seen them like years after, but it's also amazing how you can see these tiny companies grow. That's my
Yeah.
point. Like the first time I saw them, no one knew about this ring. They gave me the bone conductor thing, and it was tied to like what's alambre in English? I don't know what
I don't know actually.
metal twine. What the frick? I don't know what it's called. But my point is, this ring is a bone conductor ring. It connects to your phone, and you're able to take calls with your finger on your
You're like you're they
bone
call it the
ear bone.
cochlear. The
Yeah,
cochlear. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
There you go. And so it's pretty cool. It's a tiny thing. This is Joshua's actually, which I'm supposed to shoot, but
Yeah.
stuff life
Um,
happened.
Yeah,
But
the other
so
odds and ends, like what's funny is for this CES, there are a few companies that reached out as the months were
Mhm,
going by during quarantine, and they actually made the effort to release their stuff a little bit early, but they're still going to have a presence at virtual CES. So I
mhm.
wanted to shout out a few of them. The first one actually made my drink, BlendJet, and
Ooh, that's cool.
they were actually at Techfluence a couple of months ago, and I got two blenders from them. Now, it took me for like I never did a video on it, which I feel bad. This is one of those like perils of being an influencer. I never really got around to making content with it. However, because they're going to be at CES, or they were at Techfluent CES the other day, I'll just revamp that video a little bit and say this is like the odds and ends of CES. The BlendJet is a powerful 20-second blender, like single serving, all of that stuff, charged by USB C. So it's already like, oh, good, USB C.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a powerful blender that just made this. Pretty simple, but it was such an effective little thing that not only did I get two from the company to test out, I actually bought two to gift. That's how much
Oh,
I knew that this item is actually really good. Another
that's cool.
company that will be at CES, I think they're going to be at a PepCom, I think, but they'll also be in virtual CES, is Zendur. Zendur
Yeah. I've heard about it. Go on.
Zendur makes some of the best power bricks and charging applications out there. And their latest one, it might be in this little shelf that's behind me, is the Super Tank Pro. It's the largest that you can bring onto a plane. So, first of all, great travel item. And it can actually charge a MacBook Pro from 0 to 100 like 2.5 times at full speed. Like
Oh,
that's how
that's cool.
powerful the battery is. So I have the Super Tank Pro. I'm going to cover that as well. That's going to be another odds and ends. And then there are other companies that we really enjoy. Like I don't have it next to me right now, but MOFT. MOFT is going to be at.
Oh,
We love
oh,
MOFT.
mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. Ow! I hit my hand. I'm sorry. My favorite thing from Moft, which will be in a video eventually. I'm so sorry. It's a MacBook accessories roundup.
Yep. Yep. The carry
So this
case.
yeah, so this is a case that looks really nice, right? It's really sleek, but it's also what's it called? A laptop stand? Is it a laptop
Yeah.
stand?
Laptop
Yeah.
sleeve that turns into a stand. Yep.
Yeah. I love this thing and I love how sleek it is. Even if I don't use it as a stand, I just love how sleek it is because even if it's a laptop case, there is space for your MacBook charger here.
Yep. Yeah.
So always something I love.
That is a
Um
very Moft making that carry stand is a very good example of how every company just makes for MacBooks. Like the accessories are the best made for
Yeah.
Macs, and it's kind of infuriating because I had to talk to MOFT a few times and go, okay, I got a new laptop, but it doesn't fit in the case you sent me. Can you send me the next one, the next biggest one? And they're all like, sure. So they send it, and it like just barely
It's a
fits.
15-inch, huh?
Yep. And it says it was made
Yeah.
for a 15-inch MacBook, which, by the way, a 15-inch or 16-inch MacBook is so thin compared to every
Yeah.
laptop that I would want to use. And it's so infuriating because it's hard for me to fit these laptops and things because they're all made for Macs. But, good on MOFT. They make really good stuff. Like the most
Yeah.
recent thing that they released that is probably noteworthy to a lot of people, the MagSafe capable phone stand. So it just
Oh, I haven't seen that.
yeah, just I have it back there. I'm charging my iPhone right now. But the
Mm-hmm.
MagSafe on the new iPhones is I'm gonna say a semi-strong magnet. And what they did
Mm-hmm.
is they took their folding stand, this thing right here,
Mm-hmm.
and they made it MagSafe capable. So you could just snap it to the back of an iPhone that has MagSafe, and it does the same thing. It's not going to be as strong as the adhesive that's on this MOFT, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still a nice way of taking advantage of MagSafe. It still works. It
Can
still
I
works
just
for those times when you're lying down and you need
can
to.
I just say that MOFT is such a tiny thing, but like it literally is a life changer. So my brother, he never is into phones or accessories. Literally, my brother, he's been using a phone that I got. I think it was one of the first few phones I covered, and then he didn't have a phone. I gave it to him. It was a mid-range device, and he's loved it. He was like, "I love this phone because, like, my broken iPhone 6S that he borrowed from his girlfriend or something. That's how he didn't have a phone. He literally borrowed an old iPhone from his girlfriend. It was like it couldn't play games, but this mid-range phone you got me is so good. It's so good. It plays every game." And I'm like, "You realize that's not even like a high-end device, though."
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, he's been so happy. He's the type of person who I've been offering him a new phone. He has said no because he just doesn't see the need for it. And the only time he's changed his phone was because like I insisted and I broke a phone and I was like I'm not going to do anything with it. Like the back I broke it and he was like yeah, I'll use it. And now he loves the new phone. He's like, it's even faster. And it's not, again, it's a mid range phone. And I'm like, what is the standards? But anyway, my point is that's how detached he is from tech and accessories. I gave him the MOF just because. I
Hmm.
gave him a MOF. Dude, he loves it. Because he's the type of person who when he works out, he's watching workout videos and then shooting his reps, or when he's doing chores, he's watching like I don't know, other videos. And it's amazing how he has integrated this one tiny thing into his everyday life.
Well, I remember saying one time, do you remember how diehard I was for pop sockets and like now
Yep.
Moft has literally eclipsed them in terms of like usefulness and whatnot.
Mhm.
Um, I remember in a pop socket video, I made the point that, little things like this may not be completely revolutionary. It really fulfills like a very small need, but imagine how many uses that small need ends up getting.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a clip in this video where I was at a restaurant by myself watching YouTube on my phone because I'm dining alone. And I remember filming that shot and I thought that in the comment sections people would be like, "What a loser!" like, but no, they didn't say that.
Hey, dining alone is an art. Like this is something I learned a while back. Like you know how people are ashamed of dining alone. So when I did live alone when I was in law school, I used
I
to do it
real quick,
all
I'm
the
not
time.
real quick. I'm not. It's just the way the footage looked when I was done made
Yeah.
me
Okay.
seem very lonely as well.
It's just okay, guys. It's just we're talking about CS and it's fun and we're all excited about the new tech. But also CS means that Joshua and I haven't seen each other for a year. The last time we were together was last CS.
Hmm.
And I even cut that trip short because I was dealing with visas because we were going to go to MWC, which was supposed to be a few weeks later. And then MWC never happened, and neither did other events in the year. And now it's been a year. And I mean, I'm saying that, and it's absurd, but it sucks, man. It sucks.
Do you feel as
LDR.
do you look
Who
back on
you?
that? do you look back on what happened? And because I remember one time I looked back on it and I'm like, man, like fuck, dude. Like, if I could just put it
No,
that way,
I know, I
because it was because I
know.
remember what you were saying when we were finishing up that trip. You were like, I think it was one of those like we don't take the time we have together for granted. We usually don't. It's just that at that time we did because
Yeah,
I remember you
I was
saying, "Oh, I'll see
tired.
you in a month."
Yeah. So okay. So first of all, um, first of all, how do I explain this? First of all, even if I'm in an LDR, I never really felt like I was in a solid LDR because we always really just saw each other every now and then. And at the time that we were together last, it actually was at the point where we've been seeing each other a couple of times that we've gotten so used to it. I didn't even shop for chocolate. I didn't even shop for Kit Kat. Yeah, I always buy a lot of Kit Kat to his dismay. I love Kit Kat. For some reason, I buy the big boxes. I bring them home. I love it. I binge on them. Not healthy. Don't do that. But point still remains. I used to do that. And during this last trip, I didn't even buy supplies. I didn't buy chocolate. That's basically what I mean when I say supplies. And I was like, I'll see you anyway. I left stuff at his place because I was like, I'll see you anyway. Doesn't matter. I have clothes there. I have tech there. I have like
It's like, "Oh,
other
I'll be
stuff.
back."
Yeah, basically, that was the whole mood. I was like, yeah, I'll just fly back early because I'll see you in a month anyway. And
Yep.
now we're here. You see how things escalate, and it's a little sad because, like, me and Joshua were like, yes, taking this year, it's gonna be our year. I mean, 2020 was the year that basically both of us were on our own for the first
Hmm.
time, right? And you were just getting into the groove of like enjoying that and trying to take it by the horns, take everything by the horns, and like ride it and just that sounds gruesome. But you know what I mean. Um,
We were trying
we
to
were
grab.
gonna
We were riding the wave of our solo careers,
Yeah, we were gonna have
especially
fun.
since we got
CS,
off of
yeah.
especially since we got off a very lucrative CES.
Yeah, and CS was fun. It was the first time that we were able to enjoy it a little bit more. We were very productive, but at the same time, we weren't stressing out because we were our own bosses. And it was like coming off of that, we were like, yeah, we're gonna have a whole year of this. It's gonna be so awesome. We're gonna go to IFA and MWC and all these other things. And to me, eh, it's weird, but when I started this solo thing, one of my main goals was to be able to find a way to go to these big tech shows. That was one of the main goals for me, and I did. I
Hmm.
did. Except these
2019, you
never
did.
happened. No, no, no. In 2020, I did. Like we
Oh yeah,
got in.
yeah,
Considering I was starting out, like I was like, that was a big goal. That was a big goal for me. And I did it, except it was irrelevant, which proves to show that sometimes when you have all these goals, things still can change and all of a sudden they're irrelevant.
yeah.
Which is a big lesson, not just in tech, not just in this relationship, but in everyday general life.
And when I mentioned 2019, the reason why is because there was a milestone near the end of it, and we were able to go to IFA as ourselves. Like that was a pretty
Mm-hmm,
big one.
mm-hmm.
I think the only hurdle that's left is MWC and Computex for us to go as ourselves.
Yeah, but I mean, we also already got invited to MWC,
Oh yeah, for sure.
right?
We
So
would have been able to go. Yeah.
yeah, we were set to go, which is
Hmm.
why I flew back early. And like it's just funny. Although I mean saying all of this, I do recognize that we are still in a very privileged place considering everything that's happened. It's just funny how things so quickly changed.
Well, and how quickly it went by because I actually started getting the itch talking about we were talking about CES, so to bring it back to that for a second, like I was getting the itch. Like I started actually before every CES, I usually end up refreshing my gear, and like I
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Only before CES?
well usually that's the catalyst. That's the first catalyst. So
Because you're
and
like,
if
I need to cover this in my most optimal way.
yeah, pretty much like with all the things that I've learned in 2020, all the gear that I've gotten, like this camera and all of the ways that I now know I
What
can.
camera is it?
This one's the Panasonic S5.
Yeah, so
So this is the
that's
full
your
frame
upgrade
camera.
for 2020.
Yes. And
Got
since I've learned the ins and outs of how to film with like full frame and how much easier it makes life for me, like I'm excited to put all those things into action. I also learned a lot about audio, which is why this mic is here and why
it.
my audio is improved in my videos, which is one of my favorite accomplishments, honestly. But I
And that
was,
has trickled down to me. Welcome to, if you guys have noticed,
you
this
look like a
new
streamer. You literally look
thing.
like a streamer right now.
Wait. Okay, it's just that I didn't do this because my windows are bright, so I didn't want to do this. But guys, if you have an Alexa device, volume down right now. Alexa, turn the lights off. Because this is what looks like a bedroom lights off. Now I'm a streamer. Like if you take this out, like I'm just gonna be like, attack, guys, we're my teammates.
You're
I don't
so
know.
hot
That's
right
why
now, babe.
you know I suck at games though, right? You
But
know
hey,
I
you look like a streamer. So you got everything from the colorful hair to the mic positioned perfectly and the headphones on. You literally look like a streamer right now.
yeah, but like that's what they do in my head. Like I go like teammates, let's go attack. Bang 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 to the right. No, oh my god, no! Kill them to my left and around tumbling. I think maybe.
Probably not that last part, but yeah.
Hey, see, I don't understand games, and you know this. And let us refer back to the one gaming video I shot.
Oh sure, yeah. And but the thing is, you got into it. Like you are competitive. So if you
I am
learned,
competitive. I just suck at games, and
well, that's what I'm saying. If you learned the games, if you ever had an inkling to learn the games, you could probably be a pretty decent player because you are competitive enough. Yeah, excuse me. You are competitive enough that you would really want to get good.
I mean, yes, sure. But also, we've talked about this. Okay. For reference, guys, we're
The
talking about
problem
the
is you're on a
time that I
Mac.
tested out. Yes, I was going to say. So, we're talking about the time that I tested out a gaming mouse. And so I had to try to game. And man,
Oh, where is that mess? I
video
should find
games
it.
are weird. Like, how do you even know that your character can do stuff?
Yeah.
And might I remind you that this comes from a person who, like, a few, like, was it last year, 2 years ago, we went to a party at an arcade. It was my first time playing stuff on an arcade
Yep.
because
And
I was never that kid.
I
I
remember
was
telling a
playing
couple
with
people
the
that, and they were like, "Issa's never been to an arcade."
I mean,
Like,
I have been, but it was just like, ooh, shiny. Ooh, look, dance. But
yeah.
like,
And this was a retro arcade too, so we're playing like old school games, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and like Simpsons, all these old games, like even Galaga, like that was there too. But yeah, yeah. In any case, you look like a streamer now, so
but no, I mean, I'm
you
doing
pull it
it for
off.
the great lighting. I'm realizing this framing works too, though, because I did this. I did a podcast last night with the Unbox people, with Alvin, Mary, Jamie, and I was like, you know what? Let's try this, because I have not been talking to other people for so long that I completely forgot how to hook up my new camera as a webcam. So I was trying to do that. And I was
Oh,
like,
it. By the way, you haven't had a chance to tell people that you got
oh
an
yeah,
update. Yeah.
I also upgraded this year, which is a big deal for me because Joshua knows this. I don't really upgrade. Um, I got the Fujifilm X-S10. It's an amazing camera. I love it. I should have done it earlier. Joshua was right.
Say it
Oh, but
again.
I mean though, in as far as the XS10 was released, because I don't think I would have gotten or enjoyed any other camera. Even if I got the XT4, I would have felt like it would have been a too big camera for me.
You know how conditioned I am to know that you're not against upgrading. You just
Want specific things?
not just that, but
Yes.
it's also that like it's too strong to say you actively fight upgrading. It's just that you need to really be convinced, like specifically, and also maybe just you need to convince yourself. That's usually the way it is.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
When the XS10 was announced, I went straight to David and I was like, "This is a dope looking camera. If only it did like higher bit rates or 10-bit video, all that stuff." And David and I were like geeking out about it. And he was like, "Yeah, it's a pretty good camera. It would be perfect for Issa." And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "What? You haven't told her?" And I was like, I don't think she would even think about it. Like honestly, like she would be like, "Oh, that's cool. These are features that would be useful," but she would never think of putting down the money for it. Like she would never actually reach that point just because I brought it up. But I already knew in my heart of hearts, this camera does XYZ, XYZ would help Isa. But I know that when I bring it up, you'll either not want to because of money or you'll make it clear that your setup now is good enough.
Yeah. No, and
Yeah.
you know what happened, right? I had to cover the launch and I was like, "Oh, babe, this thing's pretty cool. I'm covering this. Have you heard about this?" And you were like, very short and succinct. "Yeah, it's cool. I think you'd love it. It would be perfect for your workflow." And that was that. And then I covered it and I was freaking out about how awesome the camera sounded and how perfect it would be for my stuff. And then I
Yep.
eventually got it. And I'm like, "Oh,
It literally has to be shoved in your face and put in your hands because
yeah."
no amount of me saying it or anyone saying it will make you think you can buy
I
it. You
mean,
should buy it.
in my defense or in whatever defense, it's not like I don't listen. It's just I take longer to get convinced, especially when it comes to gear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course, I would not have looked at that camera if you didn't tell me it was perfect for me.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's not enough to convince me, you telling me it's perfect for
Yeah,
me.
that's what I'm saying.
Get it? Yeah. Yeah.
And it wouldn't be until like I probably would like if I truly wanted something to happen in Gear
Mhm.
World, I would probably this is probably you know what uh want to hear a quirky relationship thing? I have thought about this. This is literally something I've thought about. I haven't told you this yet, babe.
What?
If I've ever needed to get, if I ever want, yeah, sorry, if I ever thought that a piece of gear would be the best thing for you, but you just wouldn't hear it, I would say it, sure, and you might hear it, and you might agree that there are things about it that are nice, but you wouldn't even do it unless I bought it and then just put it into your hands and said, try this. And even if you didn't like it, we can always return it. Or the main thing I thought of, I'd just rent it. Like I would literally just rent the lens or camera or audio
Yeah.
or lighting. I would literally spend the money to rent it for a little bit of time and make you use it.
So yes, yes, exactly. And I think this is it goes back to also the type of content I create, right? And I know you've heard me say this. For users like me, and not just in terms of gear. So this applies to me when it comes to gear. I'm even easier swayed by, let's say, phone or wearables. Gear, I'm harder swayed. That, like, for me, that's like the whatever, the thing. That's how I, yeah, that's how it is. So the thing is, with users like me, I need to be able to see in my head how I will use it particularly. Like, I don't freaking care if this camera shoots sparkles, but how does it shoot sparkles in my life? Which is what I try to do in my videos. So, like, you see how it connects, like how you can tell me that this thing rocks, but unless you tell me that this thing rocks because I can do X, Y, and Z with it because I
Mm-hmm.
already do X, Y, and Z, that's the only time it clicks in my head.
Yeah. The thing is, it always turns into a long thing of like, if I were to present a usefulness, you would say, but I do it this way anyway. For
Yeah,
example,
I
like
would
if I
say,
were to
but
be like if I were to be like, oh, the camera would be great because it has stabilization. Your current camera doesn't have stabilization, and you're like, but I use a tripod. It's just like that's not what the point is.
well, I mean, okay, this is a very nice
There's a
thing that
flippy
I'm,
screen. Oh, but I use my phone. But the
yeah,
flip
so this
screen's
is
better than the phone.
this is how Joshua put it, which, makes so much sense. He said, when we upgrade, it's not so we can up our quality per se, because we already ascribe to a certain quality that has become our bar.
We have a flow.
it, it's to optimize our flow. It's to
Mm-hmm.
fix or to make easier what we do in the background, because after all, we are our own writers, shooters, directors, and stars. Well, my point is, ever since I got the XS10 with the flip out screen, and I've shot all of my videos on the XT20, which is an awesome camera, but without the flip out screen. No wonder I had so much trouble shooting my A roll. What the frick? it's so easy to just sit down seeing what I'm shooting and not have to set everything up. Now I can shoot anywhere. I've
And
been
you
living
actually
my
have
life wrong.
an impeccable lens for a lot of what we do. Like you actually have a lens that I would buy for this camera. Like it's the perfect focal length, the perfect aperture for me to use for pretty much anything. I actually have something like it. I have a 45 f2.8 over here that I use for everything these days.
You
Um,
love how I just pull stuff out from behind me and it's like the thing we're talking about. Cause
and you
oh,
know
and
what I will
also
say?
the Rode Wireless Go though, saving my life audio
Yet
wise.
another
I
thing that
suck at
I
audio.
yeah, yet another thing that I had that I was like, you just take mine.
Yeah,
Like
that was awesome.
you won't be able to get it. You won't really get it unless you try it. And in that
Mhm.
case, it was a matter of I'd rather you not spend all of that money if you have the ability to try it. So I was like, I'm sending this to you. No questions asked. Try it. Don't even worry about me. I have all these other like mic applications and recorders and all of these things. Like I have in any given category of what it takes for us to do our content, I probably have like four different methods.
Yeah, yeah, I know. And like it's so funny because um a lot of the time when we're geeking out about tech, my friends from here like Mary or Alvin or Jamie, they're like, yeah, what do you got? Like they're like, I want this, and I'm like, oh, I've tried that, or oh, I'm using that, and they're like, oh, where'd you get it? I'm like, Joshua. So it's for a lot of the things I do, and this is just, I mean, I don't know who's listening to this, but for anyone who's ever wanted to make content on the internet, one, I'd say that all you really need is a good support group. That's always a common thing from anyone I've ever met who creates content. Like, I mean, I'm not saying you can't do it without a good support group. I'm saying it makes it way easier with a good support group.
True.
Um,
Do you mean as far as like products and gear are
no, no,
concerned?
no, not
Oh,
even.
okay.
Just all you need is that one friend cheering you on, man.
Oh, I see what you
Like,
mean.
even
Okay.
if that one friend isn't like techie, let's say you want to get into tech stuff, but you have like one friend supporting you and that person's not techie, it doesn't even matter. Like the fact that there's one person supporting you, it helps so much.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, it's also like for me, again, coming back to what how I used to work, how I used to refuse to shoot with a not point and shoot camera in all my stuff. Like, and Joshua has seen it, like how I refuse to just bring a bigger camera and how I used to not understand anything here.
And thank God the tech has gotten better because I can think back to a couple of instances where, to
I
what
had
you
a
just,
point. The tech didn't exist.
true, you can argue that it is or isn't there still, but until cameras like the XS10 or the A7C from Sony happened, like those are the main examples, or the ZV1. You can even throw in the ZV1. Like
Yeah.
that is the point and shoots that ISA used to use now are at a level that is pretty damn good. Like I can use the ZV1 to film an entire video if I wanted to. Anyway,
Yeah. And I
what
wanted to
I
get the ZV1. Actually, that was the nail in the coffin because I was thinking of getting the ZV1. So I had an easier time to shoot, remember? And then
mhm.
they came out with that white one, and I was freaking out. Okay, people who hate on colors, this is one prime example of why it's important. I sort of wanted the ZV1. Then they came out with the white, and I was this close to buying it. I literally went to Joshua and was like, I'm going to buy it. But
Yep.
then, it turned out that like here it's 200, like the XS10 was $200 more expensive than the ZV1 or
It's
something like
still
that. Was it
it's
is the math right?
say again.
Is the math right? My point is I needed to shell out just a little bit more just to get that big upgrade that I could use for everything else, you
Sure.
know?
Yeah. That makes sense. But it's also, I'm glad you didn't go for it. I had to talk. I tried to talk you down from it also because the look that you're used to, even from the XT20, an entry
Mhm.
level Fujifilm, is not a look you would get on the ZV1. It's just not. And I could already tell that if you were to try to use the ZV1 as a work camera, you wouldn't be happy with what you're getting out of it because of what you're actually thinking you want. And with the lens I talked
Mhm.
about and the XS10, boom, you're good to go. And the
But
thing
it's
is, like,
also, babe, I figured if I get the white one, I would stain it. So that's mostly
See,
what
that's the
stopped.
thing. Like that was the reasoning you ended up having, and here I am trying to be like, I'm actually telling you
Oh
how you would be
god.
unhappy with it. Like I'm actually trying to tell you the actual things that would make you unhappy, other than you staining it. But that's the thing. These are the conversations we used to have in the past where Issa would actively be against like the suggestions, and my response would always be, well, if you want the footage to look a certain way, this is what you have to use. It's just the way it is. It's just physics. Like at this point, it's physics, and now it's still physics. It's just these companies are finding ways of putting these sensors and these quality into smaller bodies, but it's still the same sensor. It's still the
Mm,
physics is still there. It's just these companies are
yeah.
getting more creative.
Yeah.
So that's the
And
thing. That's my number
and
one
the
thing.
point yeah, and the point is that to me, size matters a lot, right? So my point is that was a deal breaker for me. For a
Mhm.
lot of people, they're just gonna deal with having a bigger camera. For me, I'm not gonna get a new camera if it's bigger than what I wanted.
True. But you would also be as adamant that you want the footage to look this
Yeah.
much better. So that's the thing. Like that's what I would that's what I mean by me saying I'm talking to a wall. Because on the one hand, I'm trying to
Stop
get
calling
you
me flat. I'm kidding.
on the one hand I'm trying to get you to the footage you want, but you won't entertain any of the solutions.
Well,
That
we
was at the
found
time.
one.
Yeah, no, the company's finally found a way to make that happen.
Yeah.
And thank God for my sanity, because I remember those. I remember those. In those instances, we often say the word discussion or conversation. Those were arguments. Like, those were straight up
I
arguments.
mean,
And the years in creator in me was clashing with the boyfriend in me, because I'm trying to give you the answers you want, but I can't bend the laws of nature and physics.
but I mean, okay. Speaking about laws of physics, first of all, technology, am I right? Because all of these arguments that we had were because I wanted, in your words, to defy the laws of physics.
Hmm.
And yet, I have the tripod that I want from Peak Design, which defy the laws of physics, which had the same height but lightness that I needed. We have the camera that I want that defies the laws of physics because they did have to redesign the whole stabilization system for this camera for it to be a smaller camera, right? So
Yes, two and
technology.
a
So
half
that's me doing
years
like
two and a half
SpongeBob.
years after you and I had to have an argument about it.
Yeah,
So,
but my point is, in the meantime, we survived and I finally got what I wanted. Because,
yes.
I mean, I guess that's why I'm also very hell bent on getting the stuff I need because I don't upgrade as much when it comes to gear. So if I get something, that's going to be it for years. Again, I've been shooting with the XT20 for what, 2 years?
Hmm.
So, like, I often say this to people who get mad at the fact that new phones come out and it's cheaper than what they got. And I'm like, dude, or for example, I got my 2020 MacBook, not M1, 13-inch months before the M1 was released. And people are like, that sucks, that's sad. You didn't get the M1. And I'm like, no, I'm totally happy with my laptop because you can't really pay for the time that I've already spent working on this thing.
Hmm.
I don't regret it one bit. If I could go back, I still wouldn't switch because I needed it at the time I needed it and I paid the money for it and I got it. So my point is, if you already had something, you already bought something, don't feel bad that something new comes along and it's cheaper or, whatever.
Hmm.
Because it wouldn't make sense. Just enjoy the thing you already got. But
Yeah.
that's me. That's how I
That's a
think about purchases.
true, and I feel like that's a little bit on the other side of what we were talking about earlier. It's still valid. All I'm saying is that's different from 2.5 years ago in Hong Kong, us looking at cameras, and you were like, I really want my footage to look like that, and I'm like, well, here's how you get it, but I don't
Mm.
want that. Well, do you want your footage to look like that then? And you're like, yes. Well, then you got to get
Yeah.
this, and then it was
No,
just
but it
back and
still
forth and
stands. But
back
it
and
still
forth.
stands. I don't want it. I like, even if I got whatever camera that was at that time, it's still gonna piss me off because it's still gonna be heavy and I'm not gonna enjoy
No, yeah,
shooting.
yeah. And I would concede that okay, these cameras don't do what you want, but you would still be saying, but I really want my footage to be that way. And I'm like, well, I
Yeah.
can't, I can't bet, I can't create the camera. Like I
Yeah, I
can't build it.
know. Where no one's asking you to build a camera though.
Well, in you repeating that over and over again to
Yeah.
me
But
is,
it like my point is, it doesn't make it
I
any
want to
less
fix. I
valid.
want to
Yeah.
fix. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
So that's the bottom line. Josh was a
Yeah.
fixer. But my point is, that's the bottom line though. People demanding for stuff that they need in their everyday lives and technology not existing and technology evolving to fit those needs.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
Over time, finally got there. Finally got there. And all the pain I went through, okay, that's dues paid, I guess.
babe,
Dues paid.
You help so much. Again, don't think it's all for naught. It's the same thing as buying something when you decide on buying it. Like all those discussions resulted to whatever we have now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Again, it's never none of it is always for naught. Why do I keep on saying naught?
What is the right term?
Mm.
But yeah, I get what you mean. So I guess the moral of the story is thank you companies um, for for achieving that, so that not another year of trying to bend the laws of the world.
I mean, notable companies include Fujifilm and Peak Design for their big innovations. Honestly, has saved my ass for
And
all of.
Sony. You
Oh,
don't use Sony, but
Sony.
Sony, yeah, Sony's been going
No,
into. Oh, yeah.
I use Sony. Joshua has gotten me into noise canceling stuff, and also I don't know if anyone's noticed with my content, but I don't really do a lot of truly wireless buds. I love over ear headphones. I don't know if anyone's noticed that.
You've never, yeah,
I do shoot
you've never
yeah,
liked the buds. I've generally gravitated to them because they're
yeah,
small. But
yeah.
yeah,
I don't. Like I don't. I just find these over I have 3 that I rotate and I have one for exercising, which is awesome because they you can take out the cushion and wash just the cushion. They're Adidas earphones, and I have a pink one just because I love those, and I have these. So yeah, wait, I forgot the point about why am I talking about earphones?
I don't know. We were just saying like thank you to the companies that you're enjoying
Yeah,
now. Now that they've achieved these
yeah.
things.
Pink
Um,
razors, thank you for creating pink stuff. Now I wanna put this out in the world. I need a pink scissor arm thing and a pink pop filter. If anyone could point me in the right direction, I am this close to painting. I don't think I should paint it. I don't think it would work because there's so many moving parts, but I
no,
want to
I don't.
paint.
No, I think that's incorrect. I think you can actually paint it or use vinyl on it.
Yeah, but I have
Um,
to take it out. Take apart everything because like the screws and everything.
I mean, I would say keep the silver bits. Just paint over the black is what I'm saying.
It's all black. It's all black and the screws are all anyway. I
That's what I'm saying. Like you can't really paint the silver bits because then you would have to take it apart and paint each part. But if you just like get the black parts pinked up, because I'm pretty sure in all the time that I have looked at all of these items, I've never seen a colored
yeah.
version of a scissor clamp. This turned into a very gear heavy episode.
Yeah, we were supposed to talk about our LDR, but I mean it's all baked in. You guys know this.
I still want to say talk about that stuff like eventually, probably next week, because that
Yeah.
will literally be when was the last time I saw you a year ago.
Yeah. Oh, and next week we're gonna be talking about the S21 probably because that's the big thing happening.
Yeah, Unpacked will have happened by then.
Oh yeah, that's true. When is this getting posted? It will have happened by then.
Yeah, but
So
we'll
we're
save
gonna
it for
yeah,
we'll save it for
we're
the next
we're, we're
episode.
gonna be talking about that and a few other. We're trying to open up more about the stuff we cover too. It's like we've been having candid conversations, but also candid conversations on the tech we do, right?
Hmm.
We test out. Yeah.
And by the way, like to anybody that might be listening from, well, to anybody that might be listening, because I know that you have had some friends.
Period.
Yeah, because I know you've had some. I was going to say people in your life, mainly because you have told me you have friends who are asking for suggestions and how to do this and how to do that, and you come to me with those questions, or maybe they're even asking you to ask me. That has happened before too.
Mm.
I am planning on doing a more ongoing segment on my channel where I do talk about the gear I use. That
Yes.
way people can
Me
have
getting mad about the yes. Yes.
that way
Yes.
people can get a glimpse into like how and why I choose those things,
Yeah.
or how you can enjoy it. Because honestly, the thing is, all the videos that I've made, if I were to look at everything on my desk right now that helps me create my content, it's a lot of items, but each said item minus the camera and the computer, like those are just things that are supposed to be expensive. Everything here is pretty budget friendly. Like these are all the budget friendly versions of much more expensive things that people might use.
Babe, I've always told you your process when it comes to optimizing your shooting and your gear, it's amazing. And it's like it's the stuff that people want to hear about. To you it comes so naturally, but again, background story. I'm looking to upgrade my lights and that whole process of me going to Joshua and him helping me through it, that's me and having the privilege of him being my boyfriend. So he has to help me, you know. He has to help me. And my mind is like, that's the help people look for. Because if I weren't with Joshua, I'd be Googling that shit. And it's hard, man. It's hard to find someone like that could talk me through that because, first of all, a lot of the stuff you find online are like either very heavy, like I'm not looking to set up a studio. I just need this shit to work, you know?
Yeah, but it's the thing
I
is
get that
going
insight.
the thing is going through like the studio setups and all of that stuff is it's insightful because
It is.
when you look at those people's content and then they talk about how they made it, you can do the Bruce Lee thing. Take take out whatever is useless
Yeah.
and only keep what is
No,
important.
yeah. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I'm not hating on that. That's most definitely something you should do in everything you do. But again, I have you. So my
Yeah, yeah.
privileged ass is going to
And
go
which
to
is funny
you.
because you still end up having those tropes in your gear. For example, I'm using a light that is clamped to the table the way that a Twitch streamer would
Babe,
use.
I literally had to ask you for that, remember? Because I couldn't. So, okay, this is how bad it was. I didn't even know what these things are called, the scissor thing. And I literally wanted what he's using, but I didn't know what it was or if it existed. And I was just like, I don't freaking understand how or what to do here. Like,
Yeah.
I'm literally trying to search online what I can buy, but I don't even know what they're called. I literally am like studio lights, shooting light, ring light for shooting, lights, extra light, and then I get patio lights and I get like outdoor lighting, solar lamps. I'm like, what is it? What?
Well, it's funny because like that the tropes from the larger setups that I've decided to adopt, like yeah, this is an example. And then Issa's mic right now, that comes from again a streamer, like
Yeah,
because
I just need the pink ears, right?
the headphones that have
Because
the
I
ears
saw
on them.
Ayano has those and they're so cute and I don't even care what they're for, but they're pink. And to tell you quite honestly, so many people, not techies, women, friends, people who follow me, ask about this mic. They don't care what it does. They see it's pink and they want it. And there's like a smaller version now, I think, like a pink and
But
white
not.
one.
Oh,
Like
it's in pink. Okay, I only saw the black one.
there's a white and a pink one, I think.
Mm,
And so I saw it. I'm like, yeah, guys, love it. And like, this is the one thing that girls have asked me about in my setup. No one cares about the MacBook. No one cares about the webcam or the fact that it's clamped now. It's the fact that I have a pink mic.
hmm. And I guess I don't know how or when you want to close out the show, but I will say this as probably my closer is like, um, it is true that as we've said in so many episodes from season one, like the whole dynamic between Issa and myself is yeah, maybe she doesn't take the advice at the
I
time,
do
but
though.
I said at the time, but she'll get there eventually, most likely.
And I
Um,
pick out, like just what you said, I Bruce Lee it.
but also, it's like the long game with Issa in terms of like she's thoughtful in the long term. For example, yeah, she got the XS10 of her own volition, but as for people who are keeping score, she's not using that camera for the show. She's still using the webcam that I got her
Oh, it's
because
so
it's
easy.
well, that not just that, but also it's the thing that we went through. Like she's still opting for the item that we agreed
Yeah.
upon together and that I got her. So like it's one of those things where it's like it's the little things that happen subconsciously that are like nice and
And
important.
and to be perfectly honest, we had a long ass argument about this. him trying to convince me on a webcam. And that is a value in it. It's so easy. I told him I tried to set up the camera and I know I could get better quality footage, but like really all I need to do now is sit down on this thing and it's amazing.
Yeah,
Unlike
and it
pretend
was
to play games. Sa kanan, sa kanan, sa kaliwa. To the left. That's like translated to the left, to the left. You know that,
yeah.
right? Anyway, that's a joke for Filipino people.
But yeah, that was because you had it in your head that webcams are crappy, and I get where that comes
I
from.
didn't know they could do
Yeah,
stuff.
I get where that comes from. It's just that here I am again with my almost decades long experience, just going, no, they are good, trust me. And again, I bring it back to the streamers. Like there are streamers that are using it, and they make like millions of dollars a year.
I'm on a MacBook. I wouldn't know.
Yeah,
MacBook people wouldn't know. MacBook people feel like that's all webcams ever do because they've never been upgraded.
true. People are still mad about it on the
Yeah.
M1s.
Right.
Um,
Okay. I think that's it for today. We're gonna wait. So I'm supposed to wrap this up live. So let me give me like
another meta thing. I love that I've always noticed this. You always call it extro, and I've always wondered where that term comes from because the real word is outro, because intro and outro.
exit extra. That's what
Fair. I
how we
just don't.
call
Is
it.
extra a real word? I've always
Yeah,
wondered.
in production class, babe. Com
Okay,
student.
it's
Did so
really
much
only been
fraud.
from you that I've heard that.
Extra? Really?
Yeah,
Like intro, ingress, extra, exit.
exit. Okay, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Logical makes sense. It's
Yeah.
just that's not. Those are not. That's not the word I have used.
Makes
That's
sense,
more.
outro. Did I make it up? I don't think I made it up.
Don't ask me. If
We're
it's a
gonna Google
production
that.
term, if it's a production term, then I agree. I guess in that case, you're thinking production. I'm thinking hosting.
Well, whatever it is, maybe I made it up. We're Googling it after. But whatever it is, it's happening now. And that was our latest episode of Technically Together. I hope you guys enjoyed. We are back. We're on a roll, and we'll see you next week. We're going to be talking about the Samsung S21 stuff and some togetherness time, something about the relationship. We are on Spotify and Apple Music. Apple Podcasts? Yeah, no music. This may be music to our ears, but it's not really music. We'll see you next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.